and also I had a podium, but okay. Ben and I met as freshmen at the University of Michigan. We lived in the same dormitory, but in different halls. I met him for the first time when I went to see Jeff Sitko, who's a good friend of mine with which I've gone to high school, and they happen to be roommates, and Jeff is here today at my table, funnily enough. Hey, I said. Hey, he said. Later, it would come to be known that Ben could, on occasion, deliver certain illicit materials. I'm not, of course, talking about drugs or booze. You have to remember who we're talking about here. No six-packs of Bud, but if you needed a copy of Windows XP or the latest version of Quake, he was your man. I assure you, this is a youthful indiscretion, long ago abandoned. It was the late 90s. All the nerds were doing it. And that's how I got to know Ben Fineman. Every now and then, I would ask Jeff to pass on a request, a copy of Office, a copy of Half-Life. And then, a few days later, Ben would pass me a CD in the hall, or slip it under my door. Sometimes I drop off blank CDs in his room as payment. It was a nearly perfect system, except for one thing. Have you ever seen Ben write? I know we're talking about pirated software, but come on, there have to be standards. Instead, I got CDs labeled by the erratic doodles of a madman. They worked, oh sure, they were fine, but the indecipherable incantations they bore just seemed unprofessional in my big black CD binder sitting next to my own CDs, labeled in neat black inked lettering. You might think I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, but if you do, I'll guess you've probably never seen Ben write. So one day, I decided to set out to find Ben and say, hey, thanks for burning me this illegal software for free, but your writing is bad, so I wish you wouldn't label them anymore, because I'm sort of obsessive compulsive and I want to do it myself. I know. I found him at the bus stop. We were both heading out to class. We talked. I awkwardly issued my request, and much to my surprise, he kindly acquiesced. As the bus lumbered down towards Central Campus, we continued to talk. A stunning realization set in. We were the same. Okay, not exactly the same. I had a fine and measured skill in penmanship, and he lacked some of my neurotic disposition. But my God, we were both from small towns. We had grown up on backcountry roads, had come to know the freedom of uninterrupted acres of field and stream and tree. And we both found ourselves here in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan, studying computer science, but mostly because we thought it meant we got to play video games all day. We were both starting to realize that wasn't exactly true. By the time the bus had deposited us at C.C. Little, the foundation for our friendship had been established. It's been 12 years since that fateful day, and so much has changed, but there are so many moments I will never forget, and so many I wish I could share with you today. There's the time I poured a cup of salt in Ben's hair in the Bursley cafeteria. In return, he punched me so hard in the gut, I actually peed blood. It was perfect. There's the time we decided to stop studying for a big discrete math test so we could instead rededicate ourselves to proving that P equals NP, a major unsolved problem in computer science, because the teacher had promised anyone who could solve the problem $1 million in cash and an A. We fell a little short on that one. There's the time Ben called me out of the blue and said simply, hey, I bought a bunch of meat off the back of a truck in a parking lot. Do you have a grill? I did not,
remember that.
But you can bet we went out and bought one that very night. Together and with our friends, many of whom are here with us today, we've traveled by plane, train, and automobile. We've crossed state and country lines. We stood in St. Peter's Square. We toured the coffee shops of Amsterdam, and once we almost died in the backwoods of Pennsylvania. I would go on, but because the statute of limitations has yet to expire in some jurisdictions, I've been advised by counsel to say little. But perhaps the truest measure of friendship is this. I remember when my wife Nikki and I had our first big knockdown, drag-out fight many, many years ago. Sitting on the couch in my apartment, despondent and alone, I picked up the phone and I called Ben. I don't remember what he was doing, but I do remember that he knocked on my door a few minutes later, six-pack of beer in hand. This, above all things, must truly be the hallmark of a best friend. I remember, too, the night in January, 3 years gone, when Ben and Brenda first met. It was a blind date, and I remember pacing the hall of my apartment, waiting for the phone to ring, waiting to get the skinny. Was she cute? Did you have fun? Are you going to see her again? This is all, of course, all guy code for, hey, did you make out? When the phone call finally came, it wasn't what he said. Brenda was beautiful and engaging and intelligent, and no, they hadn't made out. It was how he said it. There was something new in his voice, an undercurrent of exhilaration cut with joy that gave me pause to reflect that that blossoming relationship might turn into something special. Ben, my friend, I have so much joy in my heart today, and it's because you found someone like Brenda who truly makes you so very happy. We, each one of us here, have been privileged to watch the two of you grow together, and we cannot wait to see what is in store for you both. This is going to be a little embarrassing, but I have to say, in the words of our shared hero, Star Trek's Captain Spock, I have been and always shall be your friend. Congratulations, buddy.